Last year, a study was published indicting a sweetener called erythritol as being a cause of heart attacks and strokes, which scared a lot of people because erythritol is it's basically classified as a sugar alcohol. Some people refer to it as an artificial sweetener, but that's not actually exactly correct because erythritol is produced in the human body. Erythritol actually has a number of benefits, which I talked about in a video that I made right after that study came out, because it was a bogus study. It was nonsensical, it wasn't true, and it scared a lot of people. You have to understand some of these scientific studies that have a veneer of science are actually designed to produce certain results that don't necessarily happen in real life. For example, they use animal studies, they use rats. What happens in rats, as I pointed out in many previous videos, physiological changes that occur in rats as a result of nutrition or exercise don't necessarily follow in human beings. It's a slightly different physiology. In fact, 50% of animal studies, including rat studies, are useless. They don't apply to humans at all. So anyway, I was looking, I was very surprised a couple of days ago, actually, to be honest, not to be honest, I don't know why I use the expression. A new study came out on June 6th, and this study was actually had some of the same authors as the erythritol study, and this study was even more interesting because this study indicted another sweetener called xylitol. Xylitol is it's a 5-carbon sugar, and it's found in a lot of sugarless chewing gum. It's used in certain supplements. It's about as sweet as table sugar or sucrose. Now, the thing about xylitol that really got to me is that I wrote an article in my first issue of my Applied Metabolics publication 10 years ago. It was based on a book that I had read called Kiss Your Dentist Goodbye. It was a dental program developed by a retired dentist named Ellie Phillips. And I'm not going to go into detail. You can read about it if you subscribe to Applied Metabolics. But basically, it consisted of 4 commercial items, a particular brand of toothpaste, a particular brand of mouthwash called Closys, Closys, Listerine mouthwash. And one of the key points, or one of the key aspects of Dr. Phillips' preventive dental program was the use of xylitol. Now, why would xylitol be involved in a dental program? As Dr. Phillips pointed out in her book, xylitol has fantastic benefits for dental health. There's certain types of, most of the problems related to dental health, such as gum disease, gum recession, cavities, all of these things relate to a accumulation of bacteria, certain types of bacteria in the mouth that produce acids that can erode the teeth, erode the enamel, make your teeth look dull, cause cavities, and also can cause gum recession, also peritonitis, which is periodontitis, which is gum disease, which if the gum, it can cause your teeth to literally fall out. Gum disease was far more common in past generations, where people would actually lose all their teeth and have to wear false teeth or dentures. It's less prevalent in the younger generations today, but it could still happen if you have bad dental habits, if you let a processed sugar, because the bacteria that cause dental problems in the mouth, they love sugar. They metabolize sugar. One of them is called Staphylococcus mutans. That's one of the main. You see, you have to understand. Let me stop right so you understand. I've talked about the intestinal microbiota, which is the population of bacteria, fungi, and other organisms that exist in the colon that produce tremendous health benefits. 70 to 80% of your immune function is related to the balance of bacteria in your intestinal microbiome. Well, it turns out your mouth has an oral microbiome. Some of the bacteria are good. For example, some of the bacteria in your mouth, you might have heard about nitrates or nitric oxide. There's natural nitrates that are found in various vegetables such as spinach, beetroot juice. When you consume natural nitrates, there's certain bacteria in the mouth that have enzymes that start the initial conversion of nitrate into nitrite. Then you swallow this nitrite, and it's further broken down in the gut and by other enzymes and converted into nitric oxide. This is a very beneficial system that helps your blood pressure, helps cardiovascular. Bodybuilders know that having a good nitric oxide system increases blood circulation, helps you get a better muscle pump, and so on. So some of that good bacteria in the oral microbiome produce, as I say, help to convert nitrite into nitrite. However, that's other bacteria. Just like the intestinal microbiome, there's good bacteria and bad bacteria. The bad bacteria in the oral microbiome are the ones like Staphylococcus mutans, which basically destroy your teeth. And the main food, just like fiber, dietary fiber is the main food for the intestinal microbiome. The main food for the bad bacteria in your mouth is sugar. Any kind of sugar. It could be sugar in candy and even sugar in fruits. Any type of sugar. These bad bacteria in your mouth, they love it, and once they thrive on that type of sugar, and they, as a result of the metabolism of the sugar, as I said, acid is produced. The pH or acid level of your mouth goes down, and this is what initiates almost all the dental problems you hear about, from cavities to gum disease, even halitosis or bad breath. Bad breath is related more to dry mouth, not having enough saliva secretion in your mouth. It increases these noxious sulfur compounds that can give. I've come across people. I'm sure anyone watching this can confirm this. I've come across people who had halitosis, which is the medical term for bad breath. It was so bad, it was literally melted my nose hairs, seriously. I remember when I was a young guy, I met a woman, and she was extremely attractive. And when I got close enough to talk to her, she had breath that would like knock out a rhinoceros, seriously. And suddenly all her beauty like went down the toilet. It was disgusting, seriously. I didn't say anything. I'm not a mean guy. I didn't want to hurt her feelings. Hopefully somebody in her life, informed her of her bad breath situation. I don't know. But anyway, the point being that, getting back to xylitol comes into play in dental health, and this has been shown in literally dozens of studies. The bad bacteria in the mouth, when you eat xylitol or chew something, let's say a xylitol mint or xylitol gummy, which they manufacture, or you take just xylitol powder, which, by the way, looks exactly like table sugar. It's white, and it has the consistency and the appearance of table sugar. That's what xylitol looks like in powder form. But if you put some of it in your mouth, the dose usually is 6 to 10 grams a day. If you take in 6 to 10 grams a day, your mouth literally transforms, because what's going to happen is gradually, if you do this all the time, especially if you use the other aspects of Dr. Ellie's dental program, you gradually wipe out the bad bacteria. Because what they do, the xylitol is like a Trojan horse. The bad bacteria mistake xylitol. Remember, it looks and tastes like regular sugar. They think it's sugar, but they can't metabolize xylitol. And so what happens is, it's like a human eating a food with no calories. You would die. And the same with the oral bacteria. Because of the xylitol, it's not supplying any energy, and the bacteria eventually die out. And along with the dying out of the bacteria, also all those dental problems disappear eventually. The gum disease, the cavities, even the bad breath, all of it disappears. I know this because after I read Dr. Ellie's book, again, it's called Kiss Your Dentist Goodbye. I read it over 10 years ago. I was inspired by the book to write an article in one of the first issues, Applied Metabolics. I outlined the complete dental program, and I'm not an armchair philosopher. I do it myself. I've been doing it for 10 years. And let me tell you, I had a genetic problem where I tended to have gum recession. Before I went on Dr. Ellie's program, I had to have 3 gum, gum transplants, because in the back on the side, my gums had receded so badly that my teeth would have fell out if I didn't have the gum transplant. However, in my case, it was a combination of genetics and poor brushing technique. I used to, when I brushed my teeth, I wasn't aware of this. Nobody told me this. When I brushed my teeth, I would take the brush and really scrape those teeth, like, really scrape it hard. What I didn't realize, I was damaging the gums and causing gum recession. Plus there was a genetic tendency too. The combination gave me gum recession. Anyway, so I started using a Dr. Ellie's dental program, started with the xylitol, and I've been using it now for a decade, 10 years. I haven't had any cavities, and just like her book said, I used to go in for regular dental cleanings. I didn't have a lot of dental problems, to be honest with you, because I even before I started Dr. Ellie's program, I had good dental hygiene. In other words, I brushed my teeth, I flossed, I used mouthwash. As far as I know, I didn't have bad breath, so, because I also brushed my tongue. If you want to avoid bad breath, it's a good idea to brush your tongue too. But anyway, the point is, once I started using a program, I noticed differences within about 6 months. My gums got in the best shape they ever got in. Of course, there was no cavities. I even started to show a little bit whiter teeth, which she predicted, because one of the things that xylitol does is it remineralizes teeth. See, when your teeth are in bad shape or you have a lot of these bacteria in your mouth, the erosion of the teeth caused by the bacteria pulls the calcium out of your teeth, and it causes your teeth to take on a dull look. And when you take the xylitol, it actually pushes the minerals like calcium that is supposed to be in the teeth. It puts the minerals back in the teeth, so you get better looking teeth. So, that's my experience with xylitol. I'm going to talk a little bit more about xylitol in a minute. Well, let me talk about it now. Besides the teeth, xylitol, the tooth health, xylitol has been shown to have several other health benefits. It improves bone mineral density. It stimulates the immune system. It has antimicrobial bacteria. Antimicrobial. In other words, it kills bacteria in the respiratory tract. It helps prevent sinusitis. And what else does it do? It does a lot of things here. It's very good for. It acts as very interestingly, just like you've heard of prebiotics or probiotics, which is bacteria that you take in orally and help to increase the health of your intestinal microbiome. Well, it turns out that xylitol is an excellent probiotic. In other words, when you take it, only 50% of the xylitol is absorbed, and the xylitol that's not absorbed, it goes down into the intestine, where the intestinal bacteria use it to produce short-chain fatty acids, especially one called butyrate. Butyrate is unbelievable. It's a short-chain fatty acid that actually heals the intestine. And as I've said in past videos, when I first found this out, this was mind-boggling. Colon cancer is the second leading cause of cancer death. Now, colon cancer starts with polyps, which are these little kind of out stalks that develop in your colon that are considered precancerous lesions. In other words, they're not cancer, but they could turn cancerous. Well, it turns out butyrate and actually somehow gets rid of the polyps. It causes them to disappear, and it actually helps to prevent colon cancer, which makes it that alone makes butyrate worthwhile. Other studies have shown that butyrate can travel in the blood to the brain, and in the brain it helps clear out some of the abnormal proteins associated with Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's. This is amazing stuff. They're actually selling butyrate in a supplement form because of these health benefits. But you don't need to use the supplements. If you ingest dietary fiber, prebiotics, especially the soluble fiber, such as found in fruits, psyllium, what else? Apple fiber. These soluble fiber are the food that the intestinal microbiome loves to consume, and when you feed your body that type of fiber, the organisms in the intestinal microbiome produce lots of butyrate. So you don't have to take a separate butyrate supplement if you don't want to. That's another way of getting it. So so xylitol, like I said, if you go on PubMed, if you check any of the medical databases, you'll find hundreds of studies about the benefits of xylitol. It's mostly related to dental, but like I say, it has other health benefits. So I was a little startled when this report came out in I believe it's called the European Heart Journal. It was published on June 6, 2024. And in essence, what the study said was xylitol can impair the body's clotting abilities. Now, a lot of websites have taken this study. I mean, it went like wildfire. I mean, like hundreds of websites were highlighting this study because it made it look like xylitol was like a really heavy cardiovascular risk substance. They even referred to xylitol as an artificial sweetener, when in fact your body makes 15 grams of xylitol every day. So if it's made in your body, I'd like somebody to explain to me how it can be an artificial sweetener. Of course, it can be produced from other sources, and that's what the xylitol and the xylitol supplements and the xylitol pellets made from. I'm not sure, made from a type of, I'm not sure exactly what it's made from, but it's still made from a natural substance. As I said, xylitol is found in various items, chewing gum. Sometimes it's in peanut butter, it's in some baked goods. But this study in the European Heart Journal, it's suggested that the xylitol can interfere with clotting abilities, and as a result, the normal clotting system in the blood, and as a result, it can cause heart attacks and strokes. Coincidentally, the authors of this study were the same authors who published last year that erythritol study, which is funny because erythritol, like xylitol, is also a sugar alcohol, what they call like a non-caloric sweetener. And, dozens of people have made videos, including myself, noting the bogus nature of the erythritol study was just garbage. It was a garbage study. And what I'm saying in this video, I'm telling you right now that this new xylitol study, even though it's all over the place, I've seen it on at least 50 different sites, people talking about this study. It's another bogus crap study, and I'll tell you why. Let's talk about this study. The researchers in the study, they analyzed blood samples of over 3,000 people who were being assessed for heart disease. In other words, these people had a lot of cardiovascular risk factors. And by the way, the study didn't even mention that. This was what they call in science an observational study. This study did not prove cause and effect. That's a very important point, because in science they have an axiom that says correlation does not prove causation. In other words, just because something is there, it doesn't mean that it's the cause, and that's the situation with xylitol. In this new study, they found over a 3-year period, people with the highest levels of xylitol in their blood had double the risk of heart attack, stroke, and death compared to those with the lowest levels. And that's very alarming. And I have to admit, I was alarmed because I use xylitol myself. I've been using it for a decade, which makes you wonder, now, wait a minute, if xylitol is so dangerous and it can cause heart attacks and strokes, how come I haven't had a heart attack or stroke, or even come close to having a heart attack or stroke? Anyway, that got me suspicious. But the main author of this study, Dr. Hazel from the Cleveland Clinic, who also came out with a study years ago indicting another substance called TMAO as the true cause of heart attack. TMO is made from carnitine and choline, so he went on to say that nobody should ever ingest choline and carnitine, which was another bogus bullshit study. I don't know the motivation of these guys. I really don't. I can't explain it. Well, I can. I'll tell you my theory in a minute, but anyway, what he says is that he thinks there's a receptor on our blood platelets that responds and interacts with sugar alcohols like xylitol and erythritol, and it causes the platelets to clump together, form a clot, and when that happens, it can block the blood flow, or it can produce a clot that can travel to the heart or the brain, cause a heart attack or a stroke. Normally, platelets work to they kind of clump together. Aggregate is the medical term, and what they do is they seal wounds and they prevent excessive bleeding. Diseases like hemophilia, where you can bleed to the platelets aren't working right. So they are important, but they can get out of control. If there's too much platelet aggregation, that can cause a clot to form inside the blood vessel that can occlude an artery. If it happens in the heart, you get a heart attack. If it happens in the brain, you get a type of stroke. So that's what this study says. But as I said, there's problems. There's a lot of problems with the study. For one thing, as I said, it's a observational study, no cause and effect proven whatsoever. Not only that, but the thing that really blew my mind was the amount of xylitol they provided in the human part of the study, where they actually gave xylitol to human subjects. The dose they gave to people, I can't help laughing, was 30 grams of xylitol. 30 grams. Nobody eats 30 grams of xylitol. That's a mega dose. In the dental program that Dr. Ellie suggests that I wrote about, the dose of xylitol that you ingest to prevent dental disease, as I said, is 6 to 10 grams a day. That's it. No more. That's not even 1/3 the amount that was used in the study. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, again, there was no discussion of the medications that the people in the study were on. I mean, they could have been on medications that contributed to causing a heart attack and stroke. They didn't even talk about that in the study. Second of all, was this their first exposure to xylitol? That wasn't mentioned either. Were these people using xylitol for years, or did they just give them this xylitol drink as part of the study? Also important, were they diabetics? Now, diabetics tend to use xylitol because it doesn't stimulate insulin, and it's suitable as a sweetener for diabetics. It has almost no caloric value, so diabetics tend to use more xylitol. And unfortunately, diabetics, especially uncontrolled diabetics meaning that their blood glucose isn't being controlled by medication, exercise, and diet, they tend to have a greater rate of cardiovascular disease. So again, there was no mention whether these people were diabetic. There was no mention whether they were obese. Obesity is also an independent risk factor for heart attacks and strokes. In other words, if you're carrying a lot of body fat, maybe if you take large amounts of, I'm talking 30 grams, which is ridiculous, maybe that can cause a problem. But they didn't mention it. They didn't say whether there was the people. They didn't discuss that at all. So like I say, the normal safe dose is 5 to 10 grams a day, and your body makes 15 grams of xylitol a day. Now, if xylitol was such a risk factor for cardiovascular disease, and I said this in my erythritol video too, many people should be dropping dead just from the xylitol that their bodies are making. Because they're making 15 grams a day every day. Everybody is making 15 grams a day. If it was such a cardiovascular risk factor, all these people should be literally dropping dead. Now, Ellie, in an email to me, the dentist Ellie mentioned that she's personally used xylitol for over 40 years. And so does her whole family, her kids, her grandkids. And if you go on her website, there's literally dozens of testimonials. And I don't push other people's products. People who've watched my videos, if you're a subscriber to my channel, this channel, you'll know I don't push products. But this really impressed me because, as I said, I read her book, I gave it a try, and it worked. I was extremely impressed, and I felt that other people should know about it. So, as soon as I started my applied metabolics in the first year, I wrote up Dr. Ellie's program. I believe xylitol is safe. I don't buy that study at all. I think it's bogus bullshit. Now I mentioned earlier I was trying to figure out what would motivate these researchers to go after these polyols or these sugar alcohols, which are used as sweeteners. Why are they going after erythritol? Why are they going after xylitol? What's the motivation? Well, it turns out that these researchers are associated with companies that produce a lot of dental products, toothpaste, mouthwashes, and not the mouthwashes that Dr. Ellie recommends, but other things. So I know this sounds like a conspiracy theory, but it's the only thing I could think of to explain why these guys would design such a bogus bullshit study, giving a dose of xylitol that nobody ever consumes. In other words, they were like going out of their way to make xylitol seem dangerous. And the only thing I could think of is because these people are on the payroll of these big farm companies, these big farm companies or big pharmacy, they don't want people to use stuff like xylitol and erythritol, because if anything, these sugar alcohols are healthy, and they don't want people to not get cavities because or dental problems, because if they didn't, why would they use their dental products? I know this sounds like a conspiracy theory, and I could be wrong. I admit it. But I can't think of any other possible motivation, because they didn't even give a standard dose of xylitol. They gave 30 grams. Nobody takes 30 grams of xylitol. Even if you're taking 80 packs of sugarless chewing gum, you're not going to get 30 grams of xylitol. It was a ridiculous, bogus study. So, I'll leave it up to you. But the bottom line is that xylitol is safe. I am not influenced by this study one bit. I still myself, I'm trying to, I admit that I try to take in as much as 10 grams a day of xylitol. Most of the time I take in about 6 or 7. I just don't have time because, I have these xylitol tablets. I used to take the xylitol powder, but that was really inconvenient because you got to mix it up, and I stopped that. I started purchasing xylitol tablets, which you can get very cheaply on Amazon. A bottle of 300 of them cost me something like $9. Lasts a long time. I try to chew. Each 2 tablets gives you a gram of xylitol. So I take it about maybe, again, about 5 to 6 times a day. I try to take more, but, I just literally forget, or I don't have time. So I'm lucky to get to 6 to 7 grams, because xylitol is an integral part of this dental preventive program that I talked about. It really works. As I said, I haven't been to a dentist. Just like our book says, kiss your dentist goodbye. Well, I wasn't on intimate terms with my dentist. I wasn't about to kiss him. But the truth is, I haven't been to a dentist in 10 years since I started her program. I'm not associated with Dr. Ellie. She's not paying me off. I just think that, she's really out to help people. Yes, she does sell products. She sells her own type of xylitol supplement, but that doesn't negate the truth of her program, because I checked it out before I wrote my article. I did the research, and I found that everything she said about xylitol preventing dental problems was absolutely true. You could check it out for yourself. Just do a search for xylitol in PubMed or Google Scholar, and you'll see the literally hundreds of studies attesting to the fact that xylitol is extremely good for your teeth and your gums. So that's about it. Again, as I've said in past videos, we do have to look to science for truth, because proper science involves trying to actually disprove a hypothesis. People think that scientific studies are designed to prove something. They're actually designed to disprove something. In other words, you come out with a hypothesis, this will do that, and then you design a study to try and disprove it. And if the study doesn't disprove it, but rather proves it, that indicates that the substance really works. And the best studies are double-blind, controlled, placebo-controlled, randomized studies, where you have a placebo and an active substance. One group gets the placebo, the other group gets the active substance, and then they cross over and switch, where the original group now gets the placebo, and they switch, and eventually at the end of the study they can determine whether a substance works or not. See, now note that is a solid scientific study. That's called the gold standard. This study and the erythritol study were observational studies. They don't prove nothing, because correlation, again, I hate to sound redundant, correlation does not prove causation. Just because something is there, it does, unless you could prove a definite cause and effect relationship, unless they could show that taking xylitol will cause these problems, which they really didn't do. They didn't do it. They just showed that people with higher levels of xylitol supposedly had more cardiovascular. But again, you don't know the details. You don't know whether these people are on medications, whether they're obese, whether they're diabetic. There's a lot of complications of this study that wasn't discussed. So I'll leave it at that, just to put a line end of everything. Xylitol safe. I don't believe this study. I had to do this video because I just couldn't believe this study went like wildfire all over the internet. I stopped counting after about 50, 60 sites were all reporting on this study. And, so unfortunately, a lot of people, because it was put together by some doctors, some of them were from the Cleveland Clinic, they'll believe this stuff, and they'll throw away their xylitol, or they'll, if they're on that kind of dental program, they'll abandon it, much to their, they're working against themselves if they do, because I think xylitol's safe. I'm going to continue to use it. So I've used it for a decade. I haven't seen any health problems with xylitol whatsoever. So that's it. I'll leave it at that. If you want more information on nutrition, exercise science, anti-aging research, ergogenic aids, hormone therapy, supplement science, which supplements work, which ones don't, I don't hold back. I'm not associated with any supplement company. I'm going to tell you the truth about supplements. I have no axe to grind, sticking a little cliche in there. In other words, I'm not, the reason I mention this is because you have to understand something. A large majority of YouTube videos that you watch related to nutrition, nutritional supplements, these people who make these videos are on the payroll of various supplement companies. So you're not going to get the full truth from them. They're always going to hold back. They seem like they're giving you good information, but you're never getting the whole story. Trust me on that. You're never getting, in fact, there's one influencer, I'm not going to mention his name, but he has a huge audience, it dwarfs my number of subscribers. This guy actually is on the payroll of no less than 15 different supplement companies. And you really, do you really think this guy's going to tell you the truth about supplements when he's making mega bucks from supplement companies? No, I'm not on any payroll. You'll get the truth from me. Everything in Applied Metabolics is the absolute truth. It's evidence-based, and it's also based on something that can't be matched anywhere else, which is my over 60 years of experience and study. There's many digital publications, and I'm not going to lie to you. There's some of these digital publications have excellent nutrition information. Some of them are more geared towards working out or training. They have good training information. They're good. Don't get me wrong. But most of them are anywhere from 2 to 5 times more expensive than Applied Metabolics. And they have about maybe 1/10 the amount of information in each issue. None of them can compare with the in-depth information that's in Applied Metabolics. And as I said, they don't have my experience. That can't be purchased. It can't be learned in academia. You can't learn it in college or a post-grad doctoral program. There's some things that you have to learn on your own. Experience sometimes is the best teacher. And I have 6 decades of experience. So subscribe today. I'm telling you, you won't be sorry. It's not expensive. The daily price of Applied Metabolics is 33 cents. Seriously, if you can't afford 33 cents, I don't know what to say. But anyway, subscribe, www Applied Metabolics. I guarantee you'll learn something. I have fantastic material. I've had fantastic material in there. I'm going to have even more coming up. Incredible stuff that you won't find anywhere. You're not going to find it on blogs. You're not going to find it on Dr. Schmucko's YouTube video. But you'll find it in Applied Metabolics. So subscribe today. And also, now these videos are free. I don't charge anything for them. So feel free to subscribe. I put out a new video every Tuesday. Doesn't cost you a penny. And I cover nutrition, exercise, controversies like this xylitol thing. So, feel free to subscribe. And above all, please tell others about the video because, I don't have any vast resources. I only have word of mouth. So if you think that people will profit by listening to the information that I impart in these videos, please let them know about my channel. And thank you for listening. I always end my videos, it's coming. If you want to have the best friend you'll ever have, go to your local shelter and adopt a dog. My dog Bruno, some of you have been subscribers for a while, might remember Bruno was in some of my earlier videos. He passed away a little over a year ago. And, I've tried to analyze why I didn't have another dog, because I've always had 1 or 2 dogs for about 25, 20, maybe almost 30 years. This is the longest time I've gone without having a dog. And I sat down the other day, I said, why don't I have a dog? And then I realized what it was. Bruno's death, and the dog before him was named Chip, who also passed away. He died from cancer. Uh, they hit me very hard. I don't have any children, and my dogs are like children to me. I open up my heart to them, and it hit me very hard when Bruno died. It was very emotional. I mean, it literally. I mean, Xylitol wouldn't give me a heart attack, but that almost did. So, I guess I need more courage. I have to go save a dog. I have to put aside my, worries about watching another dog die. But if it saves a life, it's worth it. And dogs are fantastic companions. It's not good. I haven't. It's not having a dog. It's just not good. Let me put it that way. I mean, my dog's got me to walk several times a day, which is good exercise. They've proven in medical journals that having a dog actually increases your health. So adopt a dog. Go to a shelter. There's all kinds of different dogs there. They're all fantastic. And remember one thing. I have a T-shirt that says, a dog is the only being that loves you more than he loves himself. And trust me, after having several dogs, that is the gospel truth. They literally live for you. They are truly man's best friend. So please go to a local shelter and save a dog. Thank you for listening.